The first issue that you have with most companies is when you ask them their goals, they give you their vision. And it's like, that's not a goal. What's your goal? Because your goals are going to be broken down into tasks.
I think it's about being unique and being creative. And that's why I wanted to get into the space, because I wanted to do 4, 6, 7 maybe locations, but every single one extravagant.
I want people that are willing to pay higher prices for our properties, because most of the time, those people come with an ability to follow process and rules and have respect for your asset.
All right, Fouad, welcome to the show, my brother.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here, man. This show is called Shotcast. We're always bringing on new guests into the show. I met Fouad actually through an Instagram message a while back. I heard about him. Somebody said he's an Airbnb coach changing up the game. At the time, I was thinking of buying an Airbnb, and I wanted somebody to talk to like yourself. So I reached out. We never got a response. Took a couple years, but we ended up getting one. And then as time went on, I had mutual friends that knew you in the space. I seen some of your content. I thought you were doing great things. So, I'm always about investing and growing your mind and sticking around like-minded people. And I thought it'd be great to bring you on the show. So welcome to the show, my brother.
Thanks for having me. So excited to be here. Always like being around growth-minded people as well. People that inspire me. And, I'm about the 4 F's in life: finance, faith, fitness, and family. And so as long as we're getting 1% better in one of those aspects every day, then we're moving in the right direction.
Finance,
fitness, faith, and family.
Finance, fitness, faith, and family.
It's kind of the 4 quadrants, right? I mean, if you don't, and it's not straight line in any one of them all the time. And it's kind of like, one day your faith might be really good and your fitness is kind of lacking. And the next day you pick it up on your faith a little bit. Then maybe your finances drop a little bit. So it's just a constant struggle to evolve and just get better every single day.
That's funny because in my planner, I have 4 quadrants. Your me zone, your family zone, your passion zone, and your work zone.
Yeah.
And I say that sometimes you'll be lacking in some of these zones, but if you could try to allocate time and give your all to every zone, you'll live a fulfilled life. Meaning if you spend time a little bit in your passions, you spend time with some family, you put your all into your work, and then you spend time by yourself, which I think is the most important. Like in Florida, I told you I was just there. One of the most important times is waking up in the morning, 5 a.m., 5:30, meditation, reading, goals, gratitude. Like that time is important, self-reflection.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I think that's similar in a sense.
It is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's funny because the more you interview successful people, you find a lot of commonalities in the thought processes.
Yep.
So tell us about you, man. Where do you come from? How'd you get into, coaching or Airbnb coaching, or what is it that you do now?
So I coach businesses, a lot of Airbnb, but all kinds of businesses as well. So I started in the banking industry, actually. I was a 20-year banker.
Yeah.
I was a correspondent banker. So I worked for a large regional bank, and we consulted banks that were 50 billion in assets and under. Okay. So I had a sales team in Michigan, California, and Texas. And then after so long, it was amazing. It was actually one of the coolest jobs in banking, probably. Yeah. But in 2018, my wife was pregnant with our 3rd kid, and I was traveling about 8 to 12 weeks out of the year. So I wanted to really start to pull away from the travel.
Yeah.
But in corporate, kind of as you grew up in corporate, once you're on that path, and if you say things like, hey, I want to scale back the travel, I want to do, it really starts to take away opportunity from you, right? And so my wife I was lucky, she a very successful attorney, she has her own law firm. So we set our goals, and it was kind of like the Dave Ramsey goals, right? Like, let's get debt free. Let's play defense before we start playing offense. So defense was, let's get totally debt free. So we didn't save any money. It was just every time we got money, we just either reinvested it in her law firm or we paid down debt.
Yeah.
So when we got debt free, we built a house, our dream home, paid cash for it, did it all. And then I felt comfortable. So 2019, right before we had our daughter, I stepped away from corporate. I started investing in real estate on the long-term rental side. Yeah. Just buying your average kind of $150,000 home, renting it out long-term. And I started a coffee shop that had a kids play place in it, so I could take my kids with me, because I really wanted to be a dad first. Like, that was my, my boys back then, they were 4, 3, and we were just having our daughter. Now they're 9, 8, and 5. But that was my passion. I just really wanted to be around for my kids, because you can always go back to banking, but you can't go back to your kid's childhood. You only get 100%. That once. So I learned real quickly I wasn't a good landlord. And by that, I mean, renting out these houses, we have tenants that can't pay us. They got kids. There's no way in hell I'm kicking any kids out of the house. It's just not happening. So last time it happened, the tenant needed about 6 months, he said, to get his feet under him. So I said, listen, stay for 6 months. You're good. Don't pay me. Just take care of yourself and get good.
Yeah.
But as soon as he left, sold my long-term rentals, got out of that space, transitioned to the short-term rentals. We bought a beach house in Huntington Beach, California, 2 in Scottsdale. So we went from 0 to 3 pretty quickly. Started joining real estate masterminds just to put myself around people that are already doing big things in the real estate space. Because I think that's and I'll get to that. But the biggest mistake people make in the short-term rental space is they think, well, I'm a short-term rental host. And it's like, no, you're not. You're a real estate investor first. And it's like, because if the deal doesn't work, if the deal is not right and you don't have multiple strategies, exit strategies or use strategies, then you're too locked in. And that's why you hear about like the whole Airbnb bust right now is because people just went into it thinking, oh, I can make Airbnb revenue. And if that doesn't work, then what? Now you have an asset. Figure out how do you cash flow this thing before it's a negative drain on you, right?
Is the Airbnb busting right now?
For a lot of people, just because they went to Instagram University and thought it was the cool thing to do, right? It's almost like the cannabis growers, right? Like, so everybody left their jobs thinking, I'm going to go grow cannabis. And it's like, but you don't know anything about it and you're going to fail because there's way better people and big companies and conglomerates that are going to drive you out of the business. Same thing happened with STR space is you have to be an STR short-term rental. So you've got to be dedicated. You have to understand this is, first it's a real estate investment, then you're building a hospitality business right on top of it, right?
Well, as far as like, what's the term they use for occupancy rate?
Yep.
I heard that we had the highest occupancy rate in 2022. They were saying like
COVID.
Airbnb hit the highest occupancy rate. Everyone's like invest. But I haven't heard anything in 2023 and 2024. Has that rate went down of the amount of people renting Airbnbs right now?
So here's kind of the cycle. So 2021, actually, COVID, like, people couldn't fly anywhere, right? So they couldn't go. For decades, we've known people like to travel for 3 things primarily: oceans, mountains, and camping.
Yeah.
Like these are the 3 primary reasons people travel, right? Yeah. So, but you couldn't go to the ocean, couldn't fly anywhere, couldn't go internationally. That was locked down. So people started traveling with short-term rentals just domestically, finding private yards, good resort yards, like just beautiful, beautiful homes that they could go just do like staycations in.
Yeah.
So the problem was, this is where everybody said, like, I can get into Airbnb too. This looks so cool. So I'm just going to go to like Broken Bow, Oklahoma and buy a cabin. It's like, why would you go to Broken Bow, Oklahoma and buy a cabin? Like, because for me, I got 3 KPIs when I'm buying real estate in the market. I want to know there's population growth, job growth, and wage growth.
Yeah.
If you have those 3 things, you have a very protected asset. You have a very high likelihood of consistent appreciation on this asset, right? So if it busts as a short-term rental, you're really strong on your value of your asset, and you can make an exit or you can repurpose it, do whatever you need to,
so
right?
You're looking out for your real estate investor first. Saying, make sure the property's appreciating before I think about Airbnb rental.
So first, is it a good investment on the asset side? And if it is, then is this a really good market for the short-term rental space? And then if those 2 things check, let's go.
What do you check for the short-term rental space? What are your KPIs?
So I mean, there are multiple platforms that give you all kinds of data, and I would say all 3 of them are very good. None of them are great. So they all have holes, they all have gaps. What's important is to reconcile them against each other. There's AirDNA, Price Labs, and STR Insights. These are the 3 that I use the most. You reconcile them against each other, make sure that you see good things. But then really the most important thing is you just go to Airbnb like you are a guest. Search market, look where you're looking to buy a house, zoom right in on the map and see what are those homes in that little region there. What are they performing? How are they performing? You see full calendars, you see empty vacant calendars. And by the way, I never look for 100% occupancy. That's not something that I ever want. I always tell people, if you're at 100% occupancy in your short-term rental calendar, you're not charging enough, right? So 70% is a really good number. Gives you a chance to make as much money as you need to, but also have some time in there, some flexibility, get your team in there, be proactive with the maintenance and the cleaning and the deep cleaning and doing things and finding things that are wrong with the property that you need to get better.
Yeah. And I think right now is a time where you could start leveraging TikTok and Instagram to promote your Airbnb, because you could do marketing now on zip codes, right? Using different social media platforms. And there's a lot of times where I see a badass Airbnb on TikTok, like the cabins with the music in the background and the snow outside, all glass. I'm like, I would stay here. And I look at it and it has millions of views. And I'm like, why don't people with unique Airbnbs expose that more on social media? Do you think that's a good platform?
So like I market mine on social media. We don't necessarily book on social media, but when they come to us on social media, they'll DM us like, hey, how can we book with you? So instead, rather than sending them our Airbnb link or our VRBO link, we send them directly to our booking website. So they can just come to us. They avoid the Airbnb fees, the VRBO fees, and all of that. So for sure, we do market. So
Instagram's definitely Instagram, TikTok.
It helps. Yeah, absolutely.
Or like just, hey guys, look at my house. Here's this room. Here's that room. Here's this room. And guess what? You could rent it out.
Absolutely.
Hit me up below.
Exactly. We do a lot of that. We show a lot of that. We show our amenities, even like just small things, like when you go to a hotel and you've got the USBs on the wall right next to the bed, right? Like those things, just showing that we, don't bring your USB cords, you'll offend me. Or like your plug-in, the cube. Don't bring your cube, you'll offend me. Like just bring your cord, we got you covered. Like just plug your cord right in, right? So those things.
I mean, that's what it's about. I think it's about being unique and being creative, and that's why I wanted to get into the space because I wanted to do 4, 6, 7 maybe locations, pinpoint locations, but every single one extravagant.
Yeah.
Like, every single one has a different theme.
Yeah.
Every single one is crazy for its own reason. So I like weird and crazy and things that stand out.
Yep.
You know, like my son's been asking me, could we go to Texas? I said, why the can I go to Texas? People like us get shot in Texas. You know, he's like, well, I want to go eat at the Sonic restaurant. I'm like, what's a Sonic restaurant? He's like,
oh, that's awesome.
He's like, Sonic, the fast food restaurant. I'm like, there's Sonic there's not only in Texas. He said, but Texas has where Sonic's there. And he started showing me his iPad. And I'm like, he's right. There's actually a Supersonic themed Sonic restaurant in Texas. Yeah. Where the whole thing's themed Sonic outside with the characters and everything as far as the boxes. There's a Sonic burgers and a Knuckles burger and things like that.
Yep.
And the other Sonics don't have that theme. So I'm like, what if we could find another one? I look all across, there's only one and it's in Texas. I'm like, damn, like that's a good idea, you know? Like I would open one here just for the kids and they would bank probably. Went to Orlando, same thing. We found a house in Orlando.
Oh, steer clear. Steer clear.
No, I'm not to buy. I'm saying we rented one when we went to Disney World, right?
Yeah.
And we rented one because the rooms were painted. It was a Toy Story room and a Buzz room. And I'm like, that's what you have to be doing in the Airbnb space. Or even as simple as putting random gifts for your Airbnb visitors and putting a camera at the front. And then as soon as they come, there's a box that says open me. They open the gift. You have it all recorded. Hey, if you allow me to post this video of your experience, you could keep the gift and get 10% off. You post a video of every single customer, your thing blows up because it's like they want to see people's experience and their face when they open something and putting unique gifts. So I always said, like, if you could have the creative mind, you should go into it, right?
Yeah, no doubt. It's we have two in Orlando, 2 miles from the parks.
Oh, you do?
They're right next door to each other.
Cool.
So we've got a 12-bedroom, 12-bathroom home.
Oh,
and then we got a 9-bedroom, 9-bathroom home right next door to each other. So we have a 21-bedroom, 21-bathroom complex, basically, right?
Oh, shit.
And so, I mean, we've hosted some amazing things. We've hosted Phil Heath, 7-time Mr. Olympia. We've hosted some Brazilian soccer, World Cup soccer players. We've hosted like some really, really cool stuff there. And weddings, all that kind of funky jazz. And all of our bedrooms are painted and themed and all of that. Every single one of them. So we do that. We have that. What I would say, I'll go back to your point about, you know, one here, one here, one here, one here, one here. That was my initial strategy, was like 5 here, 5 here, 5 here. And the reason for that was very simple, right? Like build up your clientele, your direct booking clientele, and then you could offer them an ocean if they wanted one, a mountain if they wanted one, Disney if they wanted it, ski mountains, whatever it might be, right? Like you had.
Well, let's stay on that. So do you actually continue to market to people that use one property and say, hey, I have other properties as well, and you get them into your ecosystem?
Absolutely. Once they book with us, so the first time somebody books with me, if I don't know who you are, I really do want it through Airbnb, because Airbnb really protects the host. They protect the guest extremely well as well, but they also give us both a lot of protections, right?
Okay.
So if I don't know you, I really want to kind of like date you before I marry you. But once you come into us and once you check out, especially, and my cleaning team goes in there, kind of reviews the property, says, hey, this was a really good guest. We take all their personal information from the Airbnb system, we put it into our CRM, and we start to market. We start direct marketing to them, right?
Yeah.
Do everything you just said. Hey, if you post us and tag us on Instagram, then you're gonna get 10% on your next stay, all that stuff. And we had, and the vision again was, so I had California, got several in Scottsdale now, Orlando. These are the ones that I own. And then I manage for people as well in South Carolina, Maryland, Northern Michigan, all over the country kind of thing. And what I've learned is owning, like I only want to own in one market. I'm scaling back. So I sold California. We're getting ready to sell our Florida properties, and we're going to go real deep in Phoenix. We're actually building a new one in Phoenix as we speak.
Arizona.
And I love the market because, again, it hits my 3 KPIs on the real estate side, but it's also very, very consistent for what is happening there from a tourism perspective. The infrastructure is amazing there, like the service industry for the short-term rentals. And my team is just 5-star. They're excellent. And we price at about 80th percentile in the market. So we don't want riffraff. We don't want just anybody to have it. We want exclusivity. That's a really big deal to me. I want people that are willing to pay higher prices for our properties, because most of the time, those people come with an ability to follow process and rules and have respect for your asset, right?
Okay.
Doesn't mean they're perfect. No, it doesn't mean they're perfect. But it means most of the time, we do really, really well. And so I love that market. In Orlando, we're experiencing that it's really hard to compete with Disney World. So people that are willing to spend money, they want to stay at the Disney resorts. They want the experience. They want the whole thing. And so we're having a hard time competing with the resorts there. So we are scaling back, and we are going to just go really deep in Phoenix and Scottsdale.
Got it. And what made you pick Phoenix? Just because of KPIs? KPIs?
3 KPIs. Those work really well. It's an amazing place. It's got mountains, several reasons to. So like, if you look at like what happens there throughout the year. So this is like how deep I go into a market, right? This is what you want to research when you're going into a market. After you check the asset box, now you're doing the short-term rental research, right? So January 1st through April 1st, you've got 16 major league baseball teams that form the Cactus League and do the spring training here. So like, we live in Detroit, right? The Detroit Tigers go to, what's that city? Leland, Florida, I think is where they go. 16 teams in the major league go to Scottsdale. So there's like several little baseball stadiums. Each one has their own little stadium, and they have like a little spring training tournament from January 1st through April 1st. So that loads it up. It's amazing. We have a waste management golf tournament in the fall every year. 3 nights. Our average house is about $10,000 for 3 nights that weekend every year. The Barrett Jackson auto auction happens twice a year. It's like all these fancy, classic, old antique cars, people coming from all over the world to bid on these cars. It's the bachelorette party capital of America.
Yeah.
You're right. Like more than Vegas, more than Nashville, more than Austin. Like it's wild. But then you have all the outdoor stuff too. You have the mountains, the camping, and the hiking and Sedona. And you know, I always say this, I'm a big fan of rich people markets. And I say that not because I'm bougie. I say that because when you target in the short-term rental space, when you target rich people, what happens when the economy suffers and struggles, the middle class and lower class pull back on their travel.
Yeah.
Rich people don't.
Yeah.
So when you're in a market that caters to rich people, when you're in a market where rich people want to consistently travel, you've kind of like made yourself kind of like economy proof in the sense that people are still coming there. You might have to drop your prices a little bit here and there to be more competitive, but we have people there coming all the time, no matter what.
Got it. And you're doing all of this research before picking a property.
Yeah.
You're literally looking at all the events they do.
Yep.
What kind of people are there? And this is what you do for your clients as well, I'm guessing?
Absolutely. Yeah, we have like custom guidebooks for each of our properties. So if you book with us, you're going to get your guide as soon as you sign the rental agreement. You're going to get the guidebook. Guidebook has all of our favorite restaurants, all of our favorite golf courses, all of our favorite kids attractions.
Nice. So you're giving good service.
Yeah, absolutely. Concierge is a really big deal.
Every Airbnb I got, nobody talked to me.
Oh no, not with us. So we have a 7 touch point system. So from the time you book to the time you check in, we're going to touch you minimum 7 times that we initiate. You might initiate more, but we will initiate 7 touch points with you, including when you book with me. I just pull my phone out, takes 30 seconds. Here's a video, because here's what happens. When you book on Airbnb, you know, like you'll see on your listing, like you have up until this date to cancel at full refund, right? So probably up until that date, you're still once in a while might go in there and look and see, okay, is there a way better house at a cheaper price, right? So what I want to do is build the KLT, the know, like, and trust with my guests. So as soon as I get a booking, pull out my phone, 30-second video. Hey, Ali, thanks so much for booking with us. You picked this house. Super excited. Here's what I love. Here are my 3 favorite things about that house. Here's why I love it. Here's what you can do with this house. Hey, by the way, this is my cell phone number. If you need anything, let me know. My team is way faster at responding, so definitely try to keep as much communication in the app as you can. But if you need me, I'm here. Let me know. Look forward to hosting you. Bye. Send you that message. You're locked in. You're not looking at any other houses. I know it, right? And so that's the first of 7 touch points that we have. And then once you check in, we've got all other kinds of automations and things that happen.
I mean, you're definitely doing it right. Like everything I've been talking about, even today in my sales call I had, this is what I was talking about when you go somewhere and you get taken care of, you don't leave that place. And we're missing that right now a lot. I feel like the service hasn't been well for a lot of things.
I agree.
Just talking about this book, Unreasonable Hospitality.
It's my favorite book.
Is it? I was going to say,
book.
Because you're talking that language, you know, to how to make things extremely, you know, well served for your clients and how to make things special and unique for each person that comes there. And giving that kind of experience, where did you learn that? Because like a lot of these owners for Airbnbs, they're not building this whole process and system and an ecosystem and keeping your clients happy and bringing them back. How did you learn that and how did you build that?
I think I benefit from a long line of corporate training. I mean, I think that's one thing. As much as I tell people all the time, hurry up and get yourself on a plan and get out of your corporate job. That's I do a lot of mentorship in that. But while you're there, suck it all in because man, they train the hell out of you. I don't even think I understood and knew what they trained me until I left. But we you know, process, SOPs, understanding like, you know, customer give and take, you know, how do you barter? How do you negotiate? Not make it feel like you're taking anything away from them. And how do you just give and give and give without feeling like you need anything back, right? And so I think it just came from that, but also it's just a little bit natural. I mean, I'm a hospitable, I think being Lebanese, we're hospitable people at core. I think that's, you know, it's like, oh, you're not hungry, here's some lamb. That's who we are. And so, you know, it's just important. I think we're always in the people industry, no matter what space you're in. And that's always important to remember because, you know, people will forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel, right? So like I always talk about this one coffee shop that I used to absolutely love. It's right here in downtown Northville. Used to love this coffee shop, but it's like I would go there every morning and every time I'd walk in, it literally felt like the first time I had ever been in there. Same people there there every single morning, same people serving the same cup of coffee, look at me like it was like Groundhog's Day, like they had never seen me before, you know, like, oh, hi, what would you like? It's like, motherfucker, I've been here like the last 138 days ordering the same exact thing. Like, at least be like, hey, welcome back. Like, don't remember my drink, but just say, hey, welcome back, right? So I stopped going there because it's how they make you feel. And when it was my favorite coffee, but like when you don't feel that hospitality, that connection, it's easy to lose people.
Yeah, man, I've been to Airbnbs before. They didn't even have toilet paper in the bathroom.
I've heard those stories.
So you need to be calling, if you could extract a list of every single Airbnb owner, you need to be calling them and offering them your coaching. Do you have a list like that? Especially the ones with bad reviews. You should be hunting the bad reviews. Say, if you want to get rid of your bad reviews and double your stays,
move your listing to me. Yeah. So I mean, I'm lucky enough to get on some stages and some conferences and do a lot of podcasting. So I've been featured in some books. I'm lucky enough that I've kind of gotten around and I do have the good and the right exposure. I definitely attract the people that I want to attract. No doubt about that.
Who's your ideal client?
My ideal client is somebody that's already in the Airbnb space. I help rookies. What I do with my rookies is, watch our course first. When you watch our course, because I could coach you one-on-one even as you're just getting into the space, but you don't need me yet. And that's the truth, is there are a lot of expenses in launching an Airbnb. The last thing you need from day one is a high ticket mentor. Watch my course, because in my course, I can quickly get you at least to 80% there, right? Yeah. And then from there, I can dial you in. And so anybody with at least one Airbnb that's been operating, that's already listed, that's my ideal client for my high ticket coaching. But when I say high ticket, I mean, it's full value and it's really important. And I'll tell you, the biggest mistake I made was I didn't hire a coach from early on. And I wish I would have, because a lot of times what I learned is that Airbnb hosts, short-term rental hosts, we do about 80% of the stuff the same way. Yeah. That 20% is what differentiates you. And a lot of times it's the affirmation. When you have the affirmation from somebody, you run so much faster, right? Because so many times you're just sitting there like, do I do it this way or don't I do it this way? And I'm confused. And then you start second guessing every step that you take, and that just slows you down.
But you have someone that did it already telling you run.
Just go. You got it. Just run. Just go make some mistakes. Go take some imperfect, massive action, right? Yeah.
That's good. And is that all you're doing is Airbnb coaching, or are you doing anything else?
I help companies scale. I mean, I'm all about efficiency as I came out of the consulting world. Yeah. So I help companies get really focused. I mean, so my program is called Focus. That's the whole thing is, hey, look at what Ali's doing. Hey, look what Fouad's doing. Hey, look what that guy's doing. It's like, I should try all those things. Like, wait a minute. Whoa. Like, go deep, not wide. Just go deep and get reps and get really consistent with that one thing. And what do you want? And let's take out what you want and let's unpack that. Let's start with the end in mind. Let's reverse engineer that. And let's go really, really deep on making a plan, because, again, it's imperfect action, right? Like, you think about going to the gym. So you might show up to the gym and not perform as well today, show up tomorrow, not perform as well. But if you show up every single day and not perform, you only perform like 60%, you're still going to change your body. You're going to change your life. You're going to change everything, because it's the consistency and the reps, right? So you don't have a lot of perfection in almost anything that you do. All you can do is be consistent. And Tom Brady talks a lot about this, right? Like, what made me different was I was just willing to do what nobody else wasn't. I was willing to just show up and be consistent. And that's what Focus.
So you're talking to a business owner out there right now and they say, all right, my focus is I want to increase my sales. What do you do with them?
Yeah, so I bring them in and we map that out. We drive. So most of the time, the first issue that you have with most companies is when you ask them their goals, they give you their vision. And it's like, that's not a goal. What's your goal? Because your goals are going to be broken down into tasks. And then these daily tasks are what's going to help you meet your goals. And then meeting your goals is going to help you achieve your vision, right? Yeah. And so you have to know your goals, but most people don't think that granularly. They think this is just what I want and I'm going to take a bunch of steps forward and try. It's like, okay, but do you really understand? You have science and data to shrink that learning curve, to shrink the mistakes, to get you on a direction where, oh, I got this idea because I'm a visionary. I got this idea. Write that idea down, but it doesn't fit in your current 90-day goals, right? Like, write it down, put it on a board and get rid of it and don't think about it right now, right? So what I'm doing is I'm helping people just get real clear on what to say no to. Because when you get clear on that and when you understand these are the only 3 things I'm allowed to do for the next 90 days, man, you will change your life. You will change your results at a really, really expedited pace.
So you're helping them break down their goals and then break it down into tasks they could do every single day so the goals hit automatically?
Yep, and then we meet bi-weekly. I hold them accountable to those goals. I help them pivot. Because a lot of times you set goals too, and then you're like a month in, and then you realize, well, I hate doing that. I don't want to do that. It's like, okay. And if you hate doing that, by the way, you're not gonna. Yeah. So, okay, we got to find a solution. If it's something that still has to be done, we have to find a solution because it still has to be done, but we got to get it off your plate. So who's going to do it? Or how's it going to get done? Or can we automate it? What CRM can we put it in? What can we build around it? But we got to get you back on doing exactly what you love. So it's build it and then pivot and then pivot and then pivot and fix it, or just fuel it, and then just go and, continues to grow.
Got it. So you're doing business coaching and then Airbnb coaching.
Yeah. Yep.
And then as far as individuals out there, let's say you have an individual out there and they want to get your focus program. What do you do with them? Same thing?
Yeah, same thing. They just come right in and we just break down exactly what they want to do. I mean, like right now I'm working with a content creator in Arizona. This gentleman is as talented as anybody, but he will not get out of his own way. So day one of my program, what I do is I spend 8 hours with the person. Get mandatory in-person, big whiteboard, 8 hours, and we're mapping everything out. The whole life. What's your offer? How are you selling? What are you doing? Who's your ideal client? Who's your avatar? And what is it, right? So like we spent 8 hours. We built the whole thing out. It was perfect. And he is the perfect guy to go market this. He will crush it if he goes and does this. So then we meet 2 weeks later on our bi-weekly call. We have a 1 hour video call. We jump on and say, okay, well, give me an update. Where are you at? What have you been doing? I haven't done anything yet. What? It's like, I haven't done anything yet. I'm like, why? And so he's like, well, I was kind of wondering about this and this. I'm like, listen, man. And he started like just was getting in his own way. I told him, I said, listen, you're not allowed to do any of that shit. None of that shit. You're not allowed to do anything you just said. We already talked about what you're doing. Do you believe in it? Yeah. Why? You just got to do it. You got to go take massive action. You got to go do it. And so he started doing it. He brought in 4 retained clients in 1 month now, and he had 0 before we started. So it's been amazing, but sometimes you just have to get hard with people and you just have to let them know, like, just go. Just like, go get some no's. Go make some mistakes. It's okay. Just get going, right? But yeah.
Why do you think people get in their own ways?
So number one is most people are afraid of rejection. Most people are afraid of no. They don't want to feel like they've been trying but fail, because most people confuse a lack of progress with failure, right? It's like failure is only if you quit. It's like we just have to change it. We have to pivot it. If it's not working, is it the offer that's wrong? Is it your pitch that's wrong? Is it your client avatar that's wrong? Is it your market that's wrong? Is your equipment suck? If you're a content creator, like we just got to dive deep. We have to do all the research. And again, it's try it. Does it work? No. Pivot. Does it work? Yes, it worked. Cool. Fuel it, right? And so I think people are just afraid. People are just afraid of being said no to, and people are afraid of failure. But
do you think it's rooted with their purpose? Like there's some people that their purpose is so deeply rooted inside of them that they'll just go for it and not let anything get in their way. They don't care what anybody thinks of them. And it's like, I'm going to get this regardless. Do you think that's deeply rooted with purpose? And some people are like, I want it, but it's not deeply rooted. Yep. Purpose isn't strong. Do you think that's what it is?
Yeah, purpose. I mean, it's the 1% crazies, right? Like the 1% crazies are just, you can't tell them no. I mean, you just can't, because they're unafraid. They're willing to make the mistakes. They're willing to fail. They're willing to just go and learn. A lot of times people are just working for money and they're not really doing what they want. Again, they saw what Ali was doing, so I'm going to go copycat that. Or I saw what Fouad was doing. That looks awesome. And it's like, but is that what you want?
Yeah.
And by the way, I could sit here and pontificate about it. It's not like I'm perfect about this, right? Yeah. Like when you're a visionary, when you have all kinds of ideas, and when you know you're a high performer, it's easy to be like, I want to try that one thing too.
Yeah.
Like me, I tried California, Scottsdale, Orlando. Orlando's a terrible idea, and I know that, and I understand that now. So I'm going to quickly pivot. But it isn't going to stop me. I mean, whatever. Like we made a mistake. It was a little bit different than what we wanted. So we're just going to make an exit. We're going to repivot and get right back into Scottsdale where we know we're really good at what we do, right? So you just have to understand that the purpose will drive everything in the action. But if you're just moving forward, hoping to make some money, you're not going to go very far.
Yeah. Is Phoenix a place I should buy first?
I love Phoenix.
Is that where
Absolutely.
we should go for Airbnb?
So again,
if I do everything right, if I make it unique, I invest money into it, what are the odds that I could still have a year where I lose money or I don't make the payment on it?
If you're doing it right, you're not going to lose money in Phoenix. You're not. I mean,
I'm saying in other states or just Phoenix.
Yeah,
like Utah, Colorado.
I'd have to look at the data, but I haven't looked at Utah very much. I looked at Lake Tahoe, and there's Lake Tahoe goes into both California and Utah. And so on the Utah side, there are zones where you can short-term rent and zones where you can't, because I love Lake Tahoe. That's a market I really, and what I love, and I think that's a really important one actually to talk about is, it's a 12-month market, because in the summertime you can go there for the lake, you can go there for golfing, you can hike, and then in the wintertime you can go there, you can ski, you can, snowboard, all that other stuff. So this is a 12-month market.
That's a good area.
It's a 12-month market. I mean, at its core. So if you can find a pocket in Lake Tahoe, and then you can find all those sexy properties you were talking about with the snow in the background and the glass walls, that's one of those markets for sure. I do stay away from blue states. I don't like states.
You're wearing blue.
I'm wearing blue. I'm wearing blue right now because it's a brand. Always got to represent, but I do stay away from blue states.
I thought it was a Biden shirt.
It's definitely not a Biden shirt. Who's that? Who's this guy? Biden?
Yeah,
Who's that?
Yeah.
But
he's not even running anymore, right? I'm not even paying attention.
That's so wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the blue states are really tough, and that's why we sold our California property. It's my favorite one. By the way, it's one we went to the most. It's one we traveled to the most. But it's a really tough. The blue states will change the ordinance on you, and they won't grandfather you in. So you could like literally, you could buy it, be making money on it. They'll change the ordinance, pull your ability to get a short-term rental on it. That will actually hit the value of your home.
Yeah.
Because when you can sell it and it's permittable, investors will buy it. So that inflates the value of your home a little bit. But when you're in a zone that you can't, but you bought it while it was, you could be in trouble. So I don't like Colorado.
Got it. Let me ask you, as far as the ecosystem's concerned, you build this ecosystem. I'm trading a company right now that has a big book of business, and we're finding unique ways to attract their clients in the future after they do business with them to come back to them, even to create the scenario to make them think about coming back to them if they weren't. What kind of things are you doing with your book of business? I rent a property with you. I'm in your ecosystem. 90 days go by. What do I get from you and your team? 120 days go by, what do I get from you and your team?
Yep.
By 3 years, what am I getting from you and your team to remind me, hey, we're here. Hey, vacation.
So we've got a monthly newsletter that goes out.
Okay.
Well, first thing we do is edit, like the most basic thing is we're trying to connect everybody on social media, right? So as soon as people get in, we're like blasting them on social media. Hey, tag us on social media, you'll get 10% off. Tag us on social media, you'll get 10% off. Follow us on social media. We got
Every
QR
house has
codes.
its own social media?
No, each house, they're all under one brand called Crescent Retreats.
Got it.
And so when you go into the house, we've got QR codes on the front there, like really nice, like, with our core values and all that kind of
I
stuff.
love that, man. You got culture inside your Airbnb.
It's important.
I mean,
Culture is
some
everything.
companies out there don't even have culture. He has his core values right inside of his Airbnb, so they know your culture, which is amazing.
It's so important because that's how you attract your ideal client, right? Like that's how you know that the ones that stick, they stick, and they're the ones that you want them to stick. And so that's the most basic thing is social media, right? We want to connect with everybody on social media. Then after that, we have a monthly newsletter that goes out to everybody in our CRM. Hey, here's a new listing we have. Make sure you check it out. Hey, if you book with us direct, here's a repeat visit code that you can use. Here's some things that happened. Here's a nightmare story that happened at a short-term rental in this other market. You know, like just really cool things that we like to share with them. We partner with like yoga instructors, the private chefs, all that. We have Turo guys that we're affiliated with so that we can make the process seamless. We decorate a home for bachelorette parties. So you come to us and you tell us, hey, we need the home decorated. Cool, send us all your decorations.
Where's all this information listed so somebody knows all these things?
So once our people book, well, it's in our listings, but once they book too, we're marketing the shit out of it.
It's in your website too?
Yeah, yep. Yeah, we're marketing.
You have all these features inside your website right now?
Yeah, absolutely.
And your Instagram and all that? Cool. What made you get into coaching? Did somebody tell you after you left? Because you said that you got into real estate and then you went from long-term to short-term. You never told me how you got into coaching.
So two things. One is I came out of the consulting world, right? So in banking, that's what I did. And I'm a problem solver. I'm a solution finder. I don't see problems. I think we're all blessed to have the problems that we have, right? Like there's people in this world that have bombs dropping on their head right now and all over the place. So we're lucky to have the problems we have and we get to solve those problems. Like, you know, and so I love solving problems. I love helping people grow. That's actually, I coach my son's AAU basketball team. I coach my other son's flag football team. I coach my daughter's soccer team. So I'm a coach. At my core is I'm a coach. I want to, and I coach myself. I coach my parents. I coach, like I'm hard on myself, right? And so, you know, my mentor, he wants me to scale the property management business because he says you can sell that at a multiple of EBITDA. When I wake up in the morning and I get out of bed, I don't get that crazy excited about scaling my property management business, but I really get crazy excited about helping people. And so I took my passion out of consulting and everything in the background, and I was just really good at it. And the more I got into the short-term rental space, and I go a lot, attend these conferences, and I speak on stages. And again, I think the biggest thing that people resonate to with me is they realize they're thinking with emotion as STR hosts. They're not thinking with numbers first. Because math is the only language in business. At the end of the day, math is the only language in business. Like you have to understand your numbers, right? Like it can be cute, it can be fun, it can be sexy, it can be all these things. But if the math doesn't math, and what are we talking about here? You're going to drive yourself out of business. And so I just help people focus on that and just go deep.
That's amazing, man. Have you ever thought about like kind of franchising it to a sense where it's like, if I open an Airbnb, you'll hook it up for me. You'll put the core values. You'll do the bookings. Is that what you're doing right now?
So that's part of the coaching. That's part of in the coaching.
So you're part of the team pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. So you come in, you get all of my resources. We help you with your
every
DMV.
Airbnb is like a McDonald's. They all look the same. They got the core values.
or yeah. But if you had one and you came to me for coaching, we'd make yours look like you want yours to look like. But if you wanted me to manage it for you, if you just wanted to buy it and then have me do all the management, yeah, we'd make it look like mine. We do a lot of that.
Awesome. And your ecosystem, are you ever collecting data from them of what events do you have coming up? And then that way you can hit them, because I always talk about hitting people at the perfect place at the perfect time.
Yeah.
Figuring out when their friend's bachelor party is, getting their friends information, when's the wedding. Like we've been doing a lot of surveying of data with a lot of companies. Even my own, I sent the survey of like, what would you like to see in particular? And now I'm breaking it up into segments and just marketing specifically to people to what they want instead of mass marketing. Have you been doing things like that or thinking about that?
So we do a lot of through our social media. We ask them like amenities, right? Like, hey, we're thinking about this one amenity. Is this something that would be valuable to you or not? But if we get that deep on their personal things? No, I don't think we do collect any of that information. That's actually really interesting.
If you're really occupied, then it's fine. But if you want to be, more occupied, then I would say asking them questions like, what events do you have coming up? What are some things you got going on?
Yeah.
Who's in your family?
Like
who's getting married? And then showing up and saying, hey, your brother's wedding is next year. Did he plan his bachelor party yet? Or like, creating those kind of bonds with people where you show up at the right place. She's like, hey, this guy's Airbnb is great. Did you think about where you're going to go for your bachelor? And like,
yeah, I love that. Yeah. That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Two things we do is we engage with them on social media quite a bit. So I've got a team in the Philippines and they're always just on our social media. Just when our guests follow us, we follow them back. So we make sure that we know, we're always just engaging, kind of staying top of mind with them. But the other thing that we do is in our listings, because SEO is so important, right? Because somebody's coming to Phoenix and they're coming for a reason, right? I'm coming for the golf tournament, or I'm coming for that concert, or I'm coming for the spring training or bachelorette party, whatever it might be. So we put all these things in our listings, and we're changing the wordage in the verbiage in our listing maybe once a month, maybe once every couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So we're constantly going in there and messing with the SEO so that as people are searching like Scottsdale concert, Crescent Retreats is going to pop up there because it's all in our listing. We have all that stuff in there.
Is that where people follow you at right now? Crescent Retreats?
Crescent Retreats. My personal page is Fouad_Airbnb.
Fouad_Airbnb.
FOUAD.
Yep.
We're also on Instagram as Crescent Retreats, and then on my LinkedIn also is Fouad Baz.
So if anybody needs business coaching, if they need Airbnb help,
yep,
they come to you.
Yep.
Any advice, they DM you.
Come to me.
Anything they need. I made $18,000 renting my pool on Swimply in 1 year.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
that app for pools?
Yep.
And guess how I did it?
What'd you do?
You go on Swimply and there's a feature on there that says every single person that's viewed your pool, and they allow you to send a mass message to them. Mm-hmm. So I had like 500 people view my pool over a year. So I started sending out weekly messages. Every week I'm like, hey, I just got this barbecue grill. Here's a picture of it. Brand new. Throw it in for free this week. Next week, hey, I just got this basketball rim. Next week, 2 more weeks left to summer. And I just started getting bookings and bookings and bookings. And then, hey, here was the last party. I threw 80 people in the backyard.
That's awesome.
And I said a book it. Well, my neighbor started hating me and the HOA almost sued me. So those parties are done.
Cut that right away.
But it was an experiment, not even just to make money out of it, because I didn't enjoy having people in my pool. I'm very OCD and a clean freak, so I had to chlorine it and wait, and it was a headache. But anyways, the reason I did it is because I wanted to prove that you can make money doing anything these days if you apply the sales tactics. I always say, like, sales and leadership philosophies apply to all businesses. You could take this stuff you're talking about in Airbnb and go to a restaurant and do it. Go to a mortgage business and do it.
Yep.
Go to a sales company and do it, So I think that this stuff applies everywhere, and that's what people need to understand that are listening, that it's all about the mindset and the relentless pursuit to give good service, to make a unique experience, to build relationships, to think about the business like a chess game and not a checkers game, right? Like every single day, I'm sure you're sleeping thinking about how could I make things better? What do I got to do? Yeah, like it never stops, right? And that's fun. And that's what I learned over the last couple of months. Instead of being stressed out, like enjoy the game.
Yep.
Yep. What's one last tip you have for everybody listening? We call it Shotcast, one shot of motivation before you head out.
Let's go. Relentlessly and unapologetically chase exactly what you want, be who you want to be, and only take advice from people that are doing exactly what you want to be doing. Your parents love you very much. Your siblings love you very much. Your friends love you very much. But if they're not doing exactly what you want to be doing, they're not the right people to be taking advice from.
Shotcast, Fouad Bazzi. Thank you so much, man.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you. Oh, man.